Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Racers News Network Live. How is everybody doing tonight? We have our special guest going to be coming on in just a little bit. Of course, I'm talking about Rob KEISTER from Mid-Atlantic.90 and the Top 32 Challenge. They had their first event this past weekend at Cecil County, and actually, technically, it's their second event. First event, they were able to get in without Mother Nature completely butchering their weekend. So looking forward to talking to Rob about how the very first event went off, and sounds like everything went pretty darn good. So I'll be looking forward to talking to him. Pete probably is not going to be on again tonight. He's had a tough week with getting ready for the end of the school year, as you all know, or you should know, and if you don't, well, you know now. He is also a school teacher in an automotive program in the state of Connecticut, and of course owns Straight Line Performance and Automotive in Connecticut. So it's a tough gig running your own business and also having a second career as well. So he's a little hung up, and like I said, possibly won't be joining us, and that's all right, because we respect you, Pete. I don't care what anybody says, we respect you. But of course, Racers News Network Live is brought to you by Straight Line Performance and Automotive, Blackburn Engineering. Let me see. There we go. Get my finger to appear. Blackburn Engineering, TSR Racing Products, Duzen High Performance Accessories, and Hoops Fire Prevention. So a lot of breaking news coming out of the world of drag racing. Of course, the biggest one is the simple fact that Camping World is not renewing, but they will run their contract through to the end of 2024. So be interesting to possibly dive into that a little bit, maybe even with Rob. But the other thing that we're going to do too is something new that we came up with for the Mid-Atlantic.90 and the Top 32, Rob, just both of Rob's series, is that the Tuesday after his events, we're going to do basically what amounts to a weekend wrap-up. He can come on, talk about how everything went, and like I said, this is their, technically by their schedule, second event, but first race they were able to actually get off. So, how are you there, Big Bob?
Doing good, Chris.
You look exhausted.
Yeah, it was a it was a long weekend. I think I walked something like 17 miles between Saturday and Sunday, and that's not even including what I was on the pit bike going back and forth doing things. So if I didn't have a pit bike, I would probably be close to 30 miles probably for the weekend.
Good for you. It builds character, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Keeps me young and skinny, I guess.
So, like I said, by your schedule, technically second event, but first event you were able to actually get off. You know, Mother Nature did try to interfere a little bit, but you guys got the better of it this time. So, let's dive right into it. How did the weekend start off for all the new stuff you guys got going on?
You know, like anything new with a new series, a new I guess you would say, like, you know, not so much a new series, but you know, adding on to new endeavors, I guess you would say. You know, a lot of people know that last year, as tracks are getting, I wouldn't say, so I guess I gotta go back a little bit. So I guess you would say as tracks are um becoming more and more with their weekends being not limited, but on to make the best bang for their buck. I mean, you know, these tracks are only open for the most part around the Northeast, probably from maybe March if they're lucky. April probably is when most of them start up till October, and then they have 6 months off altogether. You know, and stuff. So a lot of people, you know, had reached out to me and were kind of like, you know, how do we like Cecil County actually reached out to me and kind of said, you know, we'd love to give you 2 dates for a weekend, but when you're only bringing 60, 65 cars to a weekend, it's very tough for us to justify giving you 2 days, of events, when we're having to pay for glue, we're having to pay for, the crew and everything. So, last year I had, oh, actually about 2 years ago, I had kind of come on as a consultant with, Maple Grove Raceway, with their top ET challenge, and this is with their previous ownership. And that was kind of like a, top dragster and top sportsman separated type, events, just like a division race. And we tried, to get, people on board, try to do a lot of, marketing with it, and it just, we could not get the people that we were hoping to try to get with, that. So, we tried again in 2021. It was me and, another racer's wife, Donna Robinson, who, really tried to, um, you know, to get the word out, and we just couldn't get the word out, and it was tough. And, so, I think after the first race last year, with the new ownership of Kyle Koretsky and taking over, Kyle kind of called me and says, listen, with only, 4 cars showing up in Top Sportsman and like 8 cars showing up in Top Dragster, it's not really worth me having this anymore. And so, he says, you can run the series out, at Maple Grove for the rest of the year, but, we probably are not going to continue it in 2023. So I started to kind of go to work on, what to do. Like, how can we make this an interesting series, I guess you would say, for, the top sportsman and top dragster guys. What would pique their interest? So I pretty much spent all of last year walking around the pits at division races, national events, even at the top, ET challenge, events, where I was asking the racers what they would like to see. And a lot of them said, we would like to see, something where it's legitimate top sportsman, top dragster races. And it's not against some of these other tracks it was, but, um, a lot of these tracks, you have a legitimate 32 top sportsman cars that show up, and, probably for the most part, maybe 15, 20 of them are, I guess you would say, legitimate top sportsman cars that are spec to where they should be. They're certified. The safety equipment's being used and stuff like that. And, so we kind of pushed it, to being, okay, well, how do we make this so it's a legitimate, like, top sportsman, top dragster series? So what we decided to do was, we did 16. We decided to split it up: 16 top sportsman cars, 16 top dragster cars, and basically be a quick 32, a top 32, where you have your 16 and 16. They would run each other separately all the way till the end, where you would have a king of the hill where your top drags around your top sportsman guy for the trophy, the medal, the check, and the trophy girl. And, anybody who didn't qualify basically would run in a second chance race. So everybody had the chance to race, showing up. In today's age, with, gas prices being the way it is, and, people's, time and stuff like that, you show up at a race and you hope to race. And, we had, 20 top sportsman cars show up, and we had 18 top dragsters show up. So we, technically only had, 6 non-qualifiers, and I had a couple of the non-qualifiers come out to be like, well, if we don't qualify, can you just include us into the mix? And, you kind of want to stick to your guns for at least the first race, because you don't want to tail off, just be like, oh, well, your flyer says you're going to take the fastest 16 top sportsman cars, and now all of a sudden now you're going to accept all 20 of them, so we kind of stuck to our guns. We stayed with the 16 and 16. And then basically what it was the 6 cars that didn't qualify. We had 2 of them that broke. So basically what I did was the 6 guys who broke, I gave them back their $100. That was the registration fee from me, because they didn't have a chance to race. So I figured it was justifiable to, do that to, please them. And a lot of them were very happy, because they know it, some of these races, if they don't qualify in the 32 car field or 16 car field, they don't get any kind of money back. just kind of stick their tail in between their legs and go home, type thing, because they didn't qualify. So giving back the $100, I think, really, kind of put a smile on our face and stuff. So one of the other things what I wanted to do was kind of like a quick 8 shootout on Saturday nights. So what we did was everybody who wanted to, you could come over and sign up. It was $75, and 100% payback, and all depend on who signed up. So we kept the list actually secretive. Like, normally if everybody comes to one of my events and you see the trailer, all the sign up sheets are there. It was, but we kept the bad 8 sign up sheet in the trailer because we knew that, if somebody comes over and says, I'm kind of on that cusp, of being quick, but like I'm only like a 6 or 7 qualifier probably out of the cars that I see that are here. And that might deter them from actually going and actually racing with us for the bad 8 race. So we kind of kept that secretive. We had 10 cars that signed up for it. So 8 cars made it. We had, 4 and 4. And then kind of like how we did in the regular thing, we ran that, separately. So we had the 4 fastest top dragsters, which I think it turned out to be, if I'm correct, I think it was the 4 fastest top dragsters, but it was the 6, or no, it was the 6 out of the thing. I think it was the 6 qualifiers. So I think it was like number 1, 2, 4, and 6. I think made it out of that. And then it was the 4 fastest top sportsman cars. They all signed up for it. And then we did that. Ronnie Proctor ended up beating Jared Kissinger in the final. Kissinger went red. But talking to Ronnie, Ronnie, if you never met Ronnie, he's got a great personality. He's very. I like to say that Ronnie's on the chip sometimes. But he said this was probably one of the coolest events that he had been to with that. So that kind of made me happy. Of course, winning it definitely does help. And then Sunday we ran it again, and Mark Kelly, who was our 2022 champion with the Top ET Challenge, beat Joe Heffernan with his brand new car in the final of the Top Sportsman Top Dragster shootout. Saturday we had a little bit of downtime. No matter how many times I looked at the weather for Saturday, you had 3 different 3 different websites. One said it was 21%, one said it was 50%, and one said it was 80%. So trying to figure out if we were going to get rain or not was, a question mark. And, I kind of knew it was going to be like an overcast type day. And I think we were in the middle of Q1 of Top Sportsman with 3 cars left. And it started like, if anybody, has been to Maple Grove and has dealt with the Maple Grove mist that comes in, which is like not a complete downpour. It's not just a sprinkle. It's like that mist that comes in. It just kind of lingers around. We had that for about 45 minutes or so. And it just kind of stayed there. And finally, it kind of went away. We were able to get all the qualifiers in for Top Sportsman, Top Dragster. And then we were able to finish up the race for the .90 guys, and then the juniors also. So juniors, that we had 44 juniors that showed up for Saturday's race. And we had I think in total with the Pro Tree Challenge thing that Jimmy and Chad rolled out this past year, actually this probably like 3 weeks ago, I think we had almost 200 cars. So out of 6 classes was 200 cars, and we finished about 8 o'clock or so. About 7:30, 8 o'clock, we finished up everything, and then did the winner circle interview. So the Super Comp winner on Saturday was Tom Stava. He beat Dave Long. Super Gas was Bob Phillips over Nick Volpe, and then Super Street was Frank Volpe III over Tim DiOrio. And then in our first ever junior dragster champion or winner was Charlotte X over Austin Butcher. And then, of course, we did the bad 8 race, which was Ronnie Proctor over Jared Kissinger. And then we went to Sunday. Sunday woke up. Beautiful day. I mean, a little windy, but we gave everybody 2 qualifiers on the .90 side and the junior side, just because, with the way rain had been going on throughout the Northeast, not many races getting done. I think, for the most part in Division One, we've only had Cecil divisional race and the ACO open race. So not many people have really been out this year. So some people were still trying out new combinations. Some people were still breaking in new motors. So I said, we'll give everybody 2 qualifiers to try to, hone in their skills where they need to be, and roll on that. So I mean, probably going forth, we probably won't do 2 qualifiers on Sunday. Again, just because we kind of want to get done. I mean, I think I got home. I think after I got home after sitting home after dinner, I think I rolled into my driveway at like 10 o'clock at night. So, and then I had to be back up at work the next day. So, cutting off that 1 extra qualifier probably could have got me home around 7-ish. So, so it was an exhausting day. But we actually had more juniors on Sunday than we did on Saturday. We had 49 juniors on Sunday.
Wow.
And that was won by Frankie Aragona III. It was emotional winner circle. It was Frankie had won the ACO Open Junior Dragster portion. Really was actually the first win out for him since his father's passing. His mom Bree and his grandpa Frankie Aragona have kind of taken over the tuning duties of the junior, and it was great to see. Frankie win the ACO Open, and then goes out and wins race number 2 of the junior series. He beat FJ Viganola in the final with the Gangster Green dragster. We did a consolation race, just because we had the time to do so, and we want to get the juniors as much seat time as they possibly can, and that was won by JJ Schoenberger over I know Boyd was his last name. I do have to apologize. So if he's listening, I will put his name real quick here. I know Connor is his brother, and Sophie, I think, or no, Cameron Boyd. Cameron Boyd was in the final round against JJ, and Cameron's car broke in a burnout box and wasn't able to run, so gave JJ a bye run in the consolation race. So then Super Street, Frank Volpe III doubled up. He had just rolled out a brand new car last year, a car that he had worked on hard on building it, and the car is just absolutely beautiful. He ended up beating David Nama in the final of Super Street. Super Gas was Vince 4K Jr. Beating Ron Orban. Super Comp was Dave Rowe over Tom Stava, and Top Sportsman Top Dragster combo was Mark Kelly over Joe Heffernan. In the individual portions, it was Mark Kelly over Dale Crouch, and Joe Heffernan over Donnie Teague in Top Sportsman. So overall, it was a great weekend. We had 200 cars both days, and big props up to the Cecil County crew, working their tails off to honestly just bust their rear ends. I mean, it's we all, I like to say, we all get the chance that, when we get done racing or whatever, we get the chance to go into our trailers or motorhomes and sit down in the air conditioning and, grab a sandwich or grab, whatever, and, have the opportunity to sit down and rest. But these guys are out there all day long, busting their butts, scraping the track, and it's great to be able to go to a facility like that. And one of the very few facilities that, we go to that the track owner himself gets out there and scrapes the track, is on the tractor, is making sure that the track is 110%. And, it's, of course, it's Jimmy Halsey, and Jimmy just, he takes pride in his facility, and that's, what you love to have from your owners.
Now, they're also putting in basically all new grandstands. Is that correct?
Yeah. So they got rid of the old wooden grandstands that were on the tower side. They still have the old structure over on the other side that they had actually thought about knocking down, but they decided to keep that up. They were actually going to try to move um, the stands up closer to the starting line, but they decided against that. So then, so they decided to take the old wooden bleachers that were on the tower side, knock them down, and I could say when we started on Friday, or when I got there Friday, they had the they had the structure up, but they didn't have any of the boards down. And I think by the time Sunday came around, them guys had busted their. I mean, they were started at like 6 in the morning on Saturday, and I think 11 o'clock at night they were still out there putting the boards down on the stands, and they were
Oh,
back
wow.
out at like 7 o'clock in the morning on Sunday morning till the time I left, finishing up. So they had pretty much got most of all the boards and all that stuff down. So I think Jimmy said that they were hoping to have that done by the first of this week, upcoming weekend. So, but yeah,
Cool.
he's doing a lot of improvements to the track, and it's great to see him. They had just repaved it about 2 years ago. New stands, new scoreboards. It's definitely, and I think a lot of people, you know, and not for nothing, Cecil had kind of got a bad rap probably a couple years back, and nothing against whatever, just kind of had gotten a bad rap about, just some things, and you know, everything is just, I mean, it's a great facility, and I think people are starting to realize like how great of a facility it really, really is, and um, you know, it's a fun place to go to. It's an old school throwback track, and it's definitely got some, I guess you would say like a feeling to it. So I mean, this was the 60th year of it being around, so it's not very, when you're hearing tracks left and right, disappearing, it's great to see a track like that still around and making improvements.
Modernizing, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
But modernize it, but still keeping the old school feel to it.
Yeah, yeah, it's got its own personality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now backing up to your junior program a little bit,
Mhm.
are most of the kids that are in your junior program experienced junior racers, or do you have a little bit of a mix, or even, just a few kids that are, this is their first or second year doing it?
So what we decided to do was so we decided to split them up between 6 to 9 year olds, 10 to 12, and then 13 and up. And we split them basically, via age group. So what happened was we had, last year was kind of my, getting my feet wet type thing with the deal. And we had juniors at the Maple Grove first .90 race in June last year. And uh, we had a little bit of, not issues, but a little bit of learning curve, I guess you would say, with some stuff, just because I'm, unfortunately never had kids, so I'm not really up to date, I guess you would say, with some of the junior, rules and stuff like that. Like, how many times I went around looking around for junior rules, I couldn't find them anywhere. So it was a little bit on the tough side. So I guess there's a rule called the Bristol rule, like that they use, and that's pretty much like if whatever your kid is on January 1st, 2023, whatever age he is at that time is what age group he will stay in for the rest of his for the rest of 2023. So I guess that's one thing that I had to get used to, because parents are putting the wrong age down on the tech cards. So like when we at Maple Grove last year, we went there and I had kids in the wrong ladders because the parents were putting them down for 13-year-olds when they really should have been in the 12-year-olds, and it caused a lot of confusion. And then when the Dave Stein came around, we had 56 juniors, I think, at that race. There was some confusion on some other things there. So luckily enough, I have a good guidance with Tom Stava, the Schoenbergers, a few other racers who are willing to jump in and help out with any kind of questions that I might have. And basically what we did is we separate 6 through 9, 10 through 12, 13 and up, unless there's an uneven amount. So if there's only 7, 6 to 9 year olds, the last 6 to 9 year old will run the first 10 to 12 year old, and so forth. So if there's uneven amount on the 10 to 12 year olds, they will run the first 13
So like,
up.
almost like it carries over.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so far, I mean, it's actually worked out pretty good. I think I've done 3 races now. And I believe a 6 to 9 year old went to actually Christy Pasquale's daughter went to the final of the first junior race I did at Maple Grove on Saturday against Madison Schoenberger. And I believe one of the Torchia kids went to down to 6 cars or down to 4 cars left at the Dave Stein, and she was the younger one out of the 6 to 9. And then our finalist on Saturday, Austin Butcher, is in the 6 to 9 year old group also. So, it helps with the splitting up, but it also helps, like if you have a 6 to 9 year old and you have 7 cars, that's a 3 rounder right there. So by the time they start getting to the bigger cars, the older age group where it was, they're already in round 4. So hopefully they have a good handle on the tree. They have a good handle on, the dial in and stuff like that. So they're not just coming in and being a 6-year-old and running an 18-year-old first round, which just makes, very, very kind of unfair. I mean, especially, with these kids, because, a lot of them are, a lot of the 18-year-olds have 790 motors. So they're 790, and maybe a 6-year-old, or a 7-year-old has a 14-second, so not only is it's tough for the 6-year-old, it's tough for the 18-year-old because you have a 7-second delay between, on the tree. So, but in turn, I mean, I think it helps out a lot. We do have some adjustments to make for the Dave Stein. Just, I gotta sit down this weekend at Maple Grove. We're talking about possibly going to ladders beginning round 1, just because there's unfortunately just like I guess you would say any kind of sport, there was some cherry picking going on, I guess you would like to say, because some people might have 3 or 4 kids and they don't want their kids to run each other, or stuff like that, so they kind of line them up so that they're all this, and then so I mean, there's games that are played. I mean, it's pretty much anywhere. It's just even the big cars are the same way. And we went back to a ladder, for the .90 guys this year, and it worked out pretty well. Because there was I had noticed of being some cherry picking, I guess you like to say, going on last year at our championship, and one of the because they kind of sat there and waited for somebody that they knew wasn't really strong in the category come around and boom, jumped on them. And it's tough. I mean, but it's everywhere. I mean, it's and how much you try to police it, it's tough. So
Nature of the beast, basically, whether
yeah,
you like it or not. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, ladders take a little longer because the fact is, you have to wait for everybody to get up there and then pair everybody up, and then hope that somebody wants to be the first one down the track, because I don't want to be it's so it's tough. I mean, it's
All right. So what was the biggest lesson you walked away with this weekend?
That I'm crazy, I guess you would like to say. Yeah, there was times on Saturday that I kind of sat down at the trailer and even looked at Dana and I said, what were we thinking?
Right.
I mean, just and Dana's like my she's like my little sister, who is my guidance, who really kind of just is able to sit there and be like, listen, we're going to be okay. We're going to have speed bumps. We're going to have little hiccups here and there, but it's how we, adapt and overcome for the next race that is going to make it even better, going forth. I mean, it's all brand new, you know, thing. Yes, I mean, we ran junior races last year, but actually having a series where you have a points champion, you have stuff, and I think it takes I think it takes a little bit for the junior kids to realize like how much effort we're putting into this. I mean, and the two winners, I mean, Charlotte and Frankie, couldn't believe the all the stuff they got. I mean, between the big check, the medallions from you guys, the trophies, the backpacks from Fuel Factory, and even the payout. I mean, our payout, our payout in juniors for Saturday was $675, I think, to the winner, and the winner on Sunday, I think, was 690.
Well,
And I mean, that's, I mean, might not sound like much, or it was, for us, but when you're paying $30 to get in, for the event, and you're going home with, that type of money, um, it's I mean, you go to a division race, it's $200, I think you win, but I mean, of course, you win the Wally, which is, what
right.
everybody wants in the long run, but I think it's only going to get better. It's only going to grow. And we just learn to adapt and overcome little things, how to do the schedule, and options like that. So,
Cool.
but I mean, overall, it was fun.
Good. You had to know walking into the pits that day that, in the back of your head, in the front of your head, you're going, okay, everything will be all right. And in the back of your head going, something is going to happen. It's just a matter of what, but we'll get through it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the car counts are great. I mean, I won't lie. Cecil is one of my tracks that I struggle the most to get the most cars at. If I have to rank my 4 tracks that we've gone to probably in the past 5 years between ACO, Maple Grove, Cecil, and New Media is probably the worst. And that's just because of the drive. I don't think it's because of the track itself. It's just the drive. The only way you can get people to go to New Media is if you can get them to go the week before or the week after the division race, and let them leave their stuff up there. That's the only way. But unfortunately, the way they have the division schedule placed now, it's still the week before is July 4th. And for the most part, New Media has a huge bracket race going on that same weekend. And it's tough to try to get that weekend for us to be able to come in there and have an event. So, for the most part, the only way we can really ever get cars to go up to New Media is, right before the Lucas race, that they can kind of leave their stuff there, but that's virtually almost impossible right now.
Right.
And then Cecil usually is my, second lowest car counts. But I mean, I was thrilled when, they called Top Dragster to the lanes, and, I think 19 or 18 cars showed up where it was. So I knew that there was going to be a bump. And then they called Top Sportsman up, and, 20 cars showed up for Top Sportsman. So, I was thrilled to see to see that. Or was, I mean, because that was one of the questions that was raised the most to me was, what happens if we don't get 16 cars? What happens if
Right.
we don't fill the full field? And it was like, well, it was going to be prorated on the payouts where it was, but luckily enough, we paid it out. We had some great sponsors who jumped up on board, to help to pad that, and we paid out almost $2,200 to the winner of the Top Dragster Top Sportsman Shootout, and $1,000 to the runner up. So,
Very cool. Now, what's the next date for you guys?
So we take about 2 months off. NHRA starts to kind of eat up a little bit of the weekends. I think we got Maple Grove this weekend. You got Epping National the week after, then Lebanon Valley, and then I think it's Father's Day weekend, which we normally have a race on Father's Day weekend for the most part, but something was going on. I think I was trying to not prevent doing Father's Day because of, everyone kind of doing Maple Grove, Epping, Lebanon Valley, 4 weekends in a row is kind of rough on some people. And
Right.
then I was able to get in the Norwalk national event. For me, it's been one on my bucket list to go to Norwalk. And luckily enough, I had the grade points to get in this year. And was one of my goals to go. So I'm going to Norwell Huck in end of June, and so I made sure I didn't schedule a race on there. And I think we have like the media. I think we have like the media divisional race, and then there's that big double race at Columbus, the Jake Sports Nationals, and then you have the Dave Stein race. So the Dave Stein race is our next. So July 22nd and 23rd is the next race for the, I guess you call it the series. It's a non-points race for the .90 guys, because a lot of guys had asked for it to not be a points earning event just because of the big money and that as it was at hand. So if anybody hasn't seen the flyer or has kind of been living under a rock, because I think I've shared it almost every single day on my Facebook page. If we get 64 cars in Super Comp, Super Gas, or Super Street each day, it's $5,000 to win for $170 entry fee. So, it's really honestly, I'm hoping that people show up. I'm hoping people come on out. We're having pro, super pro both days. We're having junior dragsters both days, and the top 32 challenge, which will be just like we did at Cecil, where we'll have qualifiers on Saturday. We're probably going to do a qualifier on Sunday morning because of the fact is that there is a PDRA race going at Virginia the same weekend. So if there's guys that want to maybe don't qualify at Virginia's PDRA race and want to come run, my race instead on the way home, that leaves that open for them to come and race that. So we'll give everybody a qualifier on Sunday. Trying to think, and then so after the Dave Stein, we almost go at it pretty hard ourselves. So you have the Dave Stein, then the week after we're at ACO for race number 3 and 4, which is always a tradition for us because it's the weekend before the Lucas Oil race. So everybody can kind of leave their rigs at the facility as long as they agree to the parameters. That they leave the stuff open for the alcohol cars and such. So that will just be the .90 guys, top 32, and then Dave Lay's East Coast Stock Super Stock Series, and then they have a pro super pro bracket race also that day. So it will be pretty jam packed. You'll probably have a 350 car day going on there. There's no juniors at all there. Then you have the ACO Lucas race, and then the following weekend right after that is your favorite event, the 30th annual Uncle Buck Pig Roast, which will be back at Cecil. So that'll be 30 years of doing Uncle Buck Pig Roast. And once again, like I tell everybody every year, if you've never been to Uncle Buck Pig Roast, it's you got to go at least once and experience it. It's a great thing. And this year, to honor the 30th year of the pig roast, in our partnership with Fuel Factory, the .90 classes on Saturday will have a $500 bonus to the winner. So we get 32 cars. It's $2,000 to win. So for $140 entry.
$2,000 to win, not including the $500 bonus.
No, that's with the $500 bonus.
With the $500 bonus. Okay.
It's $1,500. It's $1,500 for 32 cars, if that, and then you add on the $500 bonus on Saturday. It's $2,000 for $140 entry fee. So for 32 cars, which I think is a pretty good, deal if you ask me.
And you get my favorite trophy, the piggy. I love the piggy.
Yep, you get the piggy.
Is that one hovering in the background?
No, that's the top 32. So if anybody hasn't seen the top 32 challenge trophies, this actually is the Uncle Buck trophy for the top 32 guys. So that's what the top 32.
Cool. That's awesome. So SMW did a great job with those.
Yeah. So Piggy is downstairs. I think I might have packed them. Away in the trailer because I actually have room in the trailer now. I can put all the trophies. Before it was like a bathtub, my old trailer. So This was this was nice this weekend, being able to walk in and have a trailer and stuff. And of course, if Dana had her choice, the window would be bigger for her to see everybody. But unfortunately, the size of the trailer, you can only make the window so big because of the studs that are there. So, but we made do, and it was a fun time. And Mother Nature tried to rain on our parade, which I think to a point might have, I think some people might have looked at the weather and didn't want to make the travel down because they were afraid of what the weather was going to look like. So I think it hurt our car counts a little bit, but like I even sat down, I think yesterday, and just looked at our members who have signed up for points who didn't show up, and we probably could have easily had another 25 to 30 cars show
Really?
up if the weather had looked great for Saturday and Sunday. But I think some people they kind of look at that Saturday, I don't know if I really want to, gas prices on they might not get it in. But I think we've proven over the years or it was that we do everything we can to try to get our events in, and in a safe manner too. I mean, if it gets to that point where the temperatures are getting iffy, if the dew's coming in or we're not going to send cars down the racetrack. So but
Very cool. Now, for coming up from Maple Grove this weekend is obviously the divisional race. Are you and your dad going to be running? You or
yep.
your dad?
Yeah, I do all the NHRA races. Dad does all the .90 races. We've been having, we had some issues with the car. We actually got lucky to go to the final round of the open race for the most part. We had the motor rebuilt in the winter time, and just having a little bit of carburetor issues right now. So hopefully, thanks to some great friends, Earl Nichols Jr., Ron Orban, Bill Harderford, Jake Barbado. It looked like a top fuel pit down in my pit at Cecil County on Sunday. Them just jumping in and tweaking this and tweaking that and putting Earl's carburetor on our thing to try to get it to work, and hopefully cross our fingers Friday when we make Q1. It'll work, and hopefully we'll have a good weekend, and hopefully go some rounds. And I missed out on Cecil County, unfortunately. I had all intentions of this year to try to shoot for at least I finished 10th last year in the division, and was kind of pushing to try to get a double digit on the side of the car for this year. One of my goals is that my dad will be 76 this year, and not for nothing, you don't know how much longer he's got racing, and just kind of really pushing to try to get him a double digit before he retires out of racing, and I don't know how much racing I'll do after he retires, just because I have a very stubborn German father who doesn't like to teach me things, so so it's tough.
I'll go myself.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, come out Saturday morning. We're going to take the motor out, okay, I'll be out there, cut out there, pep in the step, go walk there. And be like, why's the motor? Oh, I decided to do it myself. Okay. You're not teaching me anything, Dad. You're not helping me out.
That's funny.
So,
all right. So I want to bounce something off you if you've got time to kill.
Yeah.
Obviously, everybody heard about Camping World stepping away after the 24 season. Let's, from a competitor standpoint and a promoter of a series standpoint, what is something like that say to you?
I mean, I think honestly, Camping World did the right thing, not going away. And I mean, I know, I read some of the comments on the RN and Facebook page, and saw Jerron and Pete, with their stuff. But I think Camping World did the right thing because they gave enough notice. They gave a year and a half notice that they were not coming back after 2024. So that gives ample time for NHRA to find a sortable, replacement for Camping World after 2024. And hopefully, they are we're in May right now of 2023. So now you have 19, almost 20 months where it was to try to find a sponsor to take over that, over that spot. Um, I mean, it's tough out there. Sponsorship right now is just, it's tough. It's not, it's not as easy as everyone thinks it is. I mean, I see a lot of times when I go to PRI, I see a lot of these racers and these sponsors, or not racers, but racers and junior racers and stuff who think it's just easy to just walk up to a sponsor and just be like, hey, I won 10 races at my local track and you should sponsor me. And it's like, it's like not as, it's not as easy as that everybody makes it out to be, unfortunately. And it's a, they want their best bang for their buck. I mean, they want to see their logos on, pictures. They want to see their logos on live. They want to see, advertisements. They want to see stuff on Facebook. They want to know that the $500 or $1,000 or $20,000 that they're giving to you is being used, correctly, and that they're, at the end of the day that they got a good return on investment. Where do I think NHRA goes from there for 2025? I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't see a multitude of sponsors, not just one complete sponsor, like Winston or Camping World or Mellow Yellow. I think you might see like like the I'm just throwing it out there, like the Hoops Fire Protection, TSR Racing Products, Duzen High Performance Accessories, NHRA Drag Racing Series, like three multitude sponsors, because you're not getting, this way sponsors aren't spending, like I said, I don't know what the money factor was for Camping World to come on as a title right sponsor for NHRA. So I mean, we'll just throw it out there that it was $5 million. So it, like somebody like a sponsor might not want to spend $5 million to be the title right sponsor, but they'll willing to do $2 million. So if they do $2 million, another company does $2 million, another company decides to do three, you're able to get three sponsorships together. And, I mean, you look at me. I mean, I have three title right sponsors. I have Port 15, I have Christine Romeo Real Estate, and I have Fuel Factory. Every single one gives me a certain amount of money, to be the title right sponsor, but not, they're not just, saying, listen, Rob, we'll sponsor the .90 series or the Super Series, and we're going to give you $10,000. We're going to say, okay, I can give you 4, I can give you 3, I can give you 2. And you know what? I would rather take those to equal that 10,000 than try to get somebody who says, hey, I want $10,000 as a title right sponsor. And if somebody says no, then you're, basically SOL.
Do you think, not necessarily drag racing in general, but motorsports all around is a tough sell these days, or anything, or is it just anything is a tough sell to whoever? We'll just, because Camping World is who we're talking about, let's say there's still a chance that it could be saved, even though they say it isn't. Is it a tough sell to go knock on Marcus's door and say, hi, can we talk? And talk motorsports?
Well, I mean, I think in general, and I may get pushback on this. I think it's almost time where that they kind of need to start having negotiations, as far as, and stop kind of being, this is where we're set in our bar, and we're not going to deter from that amount anymore. You got tracks that are not closing, but are, I guess not even closing, but being demolished. Tracks that are no longer, I mean, you think about now Topeka possibly being on the verge of, not being torn down, but just closing altogether because of the tax issue that's going on there.
Just locking the door and saying, oh, okay, I'm out of here.
And, the Vandermeer thing, wasn't really a shocker to many, but, they also said that we may try to rebuild elsewhere. But, there also is a good possibility they may just take the money that they're getting from the housing thing and say, you know what, it's been a great run. We were proud to be a drag racing thing for 60 plus years here in Colorado, but we're deciding we're not going to build anywhere else, and we're just going to, call it a career, type thing.
Right.
And there's that good chance that so you just think about it. I mean, you lost, technically you've lost Englishtown, you've lost Atlanta, you've lost Houston, you've lost Phoenix, might possibly lose Topeka, and you might lose Brainerd. So there's 6 national event tracks that you've lost. That now probably brings your national event schedule to 18, 19 for next year. Seattle's not. Seattle's one of those tracks that's kind of wishy-washy. That they get some interference from the government up in Washington State. Sonoma's never safe either because they're building houses like crazy near the wine country.
Yeah.
And they're the type of people that are the hoity-toity, can't, I think they got rid of their own bracket program because of people complaining. I think they had the national event there and they have the NASCAR race, and that's like really the only races that they have at Sonoma anymore because of that. So, it's almost one of these things where you kind of have to like almost knock on the door to Virginia and be like, Virginia, hey, I know you guys didn't make the money you were hoping to make, and let's try to negotiate that. You know what? Both sides are happy that we're going out of this with some money. You're going out of with some money, and we can continue our relationship, with a national event at Virginia.
Right. And then you take like the debate that was going on our page about New England. We're Duran likes to say, we're just shy of Iceland up here. We're in
But
essentially.
you guys draw. I mean, even though it's a smaller venue track, with smaller stands, the place is always packed for a national event. Now, maybe,
But one of the things I always tell him when he says that, or I tell anybody when they say that, I said, if you ever been there, well, then you know that you get off the exit, you look to your left, that's the track. It's 0.2 of a mile off a major east-west highway. You go 10 miles to the east, you have I-95 that goes from, Canada to the Keys. You go 20 miles to the west, you have I-93, which goes from, Canada to, I don't remember, somewhere, it intersects with something somewhere down in like Rhode Island. But you go by major highways the entire time. So it's not like it's not an access thing. It's just people don't want to drive through New York, through Connecticut, through Pennsylvania, whatever, where the roads are crappy to get here, because all you guys have to do that. You have no choice. You can't just close your eyes and, go mock and then hop over everything and end up in New England.
Yeah, wish we could, but I mean,
Right.
it's not, but unfortunately, I think it's one of these things where they almost kind of have to, I mean, I'm really not sure what, I mean, unless they start to look into giving more tracks to events, I mean, I know everybody always begs and pleads to get Maple Grove to have 2 national events, but, it could also be, the fall Maple Grove race might not bring as much crowd in if you do 2. It's just like the whole catch-22 thing when New England was added to the schedule. Englishtown used to always be packed because Englishtown was that summer, I guess spring/summer event that everybody went to, because that was the only national event that you could see nitro cars in the first part of the year, and then at the end of the year you would go to Maple Grove for the fall portion of it. So both were always packed, and plus Englishtown would always draw all the Canadian, New Hampshire, Massachusetts people to come down there. Well, then you add New England, boom, and New England literally was the weekend before Englishtown. So now all the New England, Canadian, Massachusetts guys were like, I just saw the same nitro cars in New England. Why am I going to go spend all my money and drive down to Englishtown? And it
Right.
killed Englishtown's. It killed Englishtown's, crowd. I mean, and I'm sure there was other, you know, stuff that we'll never know about. As the reason why the track closed. I mean, um, but it is what it is. The stuff that we'll never know and stuff that we're not privileged to knowing. Why everybody can speculate as much as they want to on the internet, which everyone does. But it's. I mean, it sucks. I mean, I always loved going to Englishtown. I mean, that's where I grew up. That was my, between that and ACO were my two home tracks. I mean, I would go to ACO and Englishtown on Wednesday nights for the night of thrills and see all the wheel standers and jet cars and all that fun stuff. And now, you don't really have too much of that anymore.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the thing that I think, and again, this is just strictly my opinion, is that we've heard for the past probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, New England, the New England event is doomed. The New England event is not going to happen next year, and it keeps happening, and it keeps happening. I mean, yeah, they have made small improvements to the facility. I will say that over, especially in the past, I don't know, probably month or so, but it's a TV market. And we all know that the business that NHRA is driven, that NHRA is driven by numbers, and they need those numbers. And to have the Boston TV market, I mean, granted, it's probably not, what LA or whatever pulls in, but still, it's a major TV market in the US, and that's what they want.
Yeah. And and I think that also goes towards a lot with the sponsorship too, is, you know, like, I hate to say, as much as it was great when Fox took over as the TV thing, because ESPN, the contract ended and Fox took it over and stuff. But if I was a pro stock bike owner or a pro stock bike sponsor or even a pro stock sponsor I couldn't justify spending my money. I mean, they're lucky if they probably get 20 seconds probably for for a 4 hour thing. It's pretty sad, to be honest with you, especially if you have a car that's a bottom feeder that maybe loses first round here and there. I mean, they barely get any kind of coverage. I mean, you know and I mean, it's you would kind of hope that like switching over, that they would actually give some time to pro stock and give some time to pro stock bike. But it just it's tough.
Well, and then the other thing is they took pro stock away this year from New England, and they substituted mountain motor. Now, a lot of people like mountain motor pro stock and also because it looks more like a traditional pro stock car. It's got, obviously the normal pro stock car has, a stick shift in it. So does the mountain motor, but it's got the hood scoop, and stuff like that. That's one of the things that I've read a lot that people say they miss the hood scoop. The hood scoop made that class in that car. 3 mountain motor cars are signed up for New England.
Yeah, I mean, New England's always that tough. I mean, they don't even get a full pro field. I mean, they get 12 funny cars, 14 probably top fuelers. I mean, I don't know where it's at right now.
I think it's 13 top fuel cars, 14 funny cars, 18 pro mods. I believe.
Is what it is? I shall. Let me take a look at it real quick here. Let's see. So many hoops you got to jump through to find out. So I mean, that's even the thing is, like, how about, were they happy with how Chicago was? Is Chicago, will be back for next year? That's another big thing.
Right. Was that a one and done, or is it coming back, or what's the deal? It's the great mystery of the universe.
So you're at 13 top fuelers, 14 funny cars, 18 pro mods, and still at 3 mountain motor pro stocks.
Yeah. And registration closes on Monday at, what is it, 3 o'clock Pacific? Noon
Yeah.
Pacific?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know if it's a test thing, like, hey, let's see if this works up there. And if it doesn't work, then we'll, we won't include that next year, or what. I mean, I, you know, I don't know what goes on at the board meetings. I don't know what gets said. I mean, why they add some races, why they add some classes and stuff. I
Right.
mean, it could be, the argument could always be about why the quotas are the quotas. I mean, I mean, a lot of people said, about Norwalk. I mean, Norwalk's probably at least for here, especially with us losing Virginia, is probably one of the more popular events for Division I guys to go to, because they want to go to Norwalk because they love the facility. I mean, even if you look at the entry list for Norwalk right now, I think out of the 53 Supercomp cars that are entered, I think 20 of them are Division I cars. And I think
Right.
Super might be like 10 out of like 50, but it's a 4-day race, and you only took 50 cars. That's, that kind of makes it tough. I mean, especially like somebody who has a grade 7 or a grade 6, to try to get in. And it filled, I think Supergas filled in an hour and 45 minutes. Supercomp filled like 2.5 hours. And it's, it's a tough thing. And I'm tired now. No doubt in my mind, Maple Grove is going to be the same. Maple Grove will be a 50 car quota also.
Yeah.
So that'll fill quickly also.
Right.
But listen, I don't sit at the board meetings, and obviously somebody has something correct that they feel that 50 cars in each class is able to put filet mignon on the table at nighttime for everybody. So hey,
If you had your way, they'd be filling in the castle with race cars and trailers, right?
yeah, I mean, we all do this to race. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, that's, we I mean, you do have to put limits on things and stuff. And it's not to deter people from not being able to race, but you also want to finish at a decent time.
Right.
You don't want to race till 4 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning because of stuff. I mean, you're starting to get like Pete now at 8 o'clock. You already started yawning.
Yeah. He woke me
But-
up at 6 o'clock this morning.
But you also don't want to. You also want to finish at a decent time. You don't want to have 1,000 cars show up where it was, and then you're like, well, we can't finish on Thursday. We can't finish on Friday because we have too many
Right.
cars. You do
We'll be
have
here
to
till
put
Wednesday of the following week trying to get this
Yeah.
done.
You do have to put a cap on some stuff here and there because of things. But
Right.
hey, I mean, I'm happy what I'm doing. I'm not, I'm happy, running NHRA when I can, and
Very cool.
it's interesting in the next couple of years to see what tracks get added to the national event schedule, if any, who becomes the title rate sponsor, if it's a multitude of title rate sponsors. You never know. I mean, it seems to be like I told somebody today I was talking to that the Skag power equipment guys, the lawnmower guys, seem to have a lot of money, so maybe they'll be the new title right sponsor, or who knows? I mean, it could be, like I said, a multitude of different sponsors. It could have 3 sponsors going across or 2 sponsors going across. I mean, rather than just one.
Right.
But I'm happy what I'm doing. I'm happy with our turnout at Cecil, and hopefully everybody comes out for the Dave Stein race, and we packed the place for Maple Grove. I mean, everybody's been asking for a big money race, and we've done it 2 years now, and hopefully the third year will be even more successful. So.
All right. How about all the sponsors from Mid-Atlantic .90 and the Top 32 Challenge?
Oh boy.
Do you have them listed?
I have a lot. So like I actually Ashley Kubicki, who is my social media girl, is just came, well, she was with us last year, but she's doing a lot more this year with social media. Like she asked for all the sponsors last night, and I sent all the logos to her, and she was like, holy smokes, I didn't know you had this many sponsors. I said, yeah, I've been a pretty busy boy during the wintertime getting sponsors on board. So major sponsors for the .90 guys, of course, is Fuel Factory. Fuel Factory is basically a petroleum-based racing gas, brand new, run by the Tedesco family and Mark Wessler. You also have Pour 15, which is a Rust-Oleum company, Christine Romeo Real Estate, Hoops Fire Protection, does our Dead on the Dial Award, powder coat finishes, Brodex cylinder heads, Pleasant Valley Farms. Oh boy, trying to remember them all. Awesome Signs and Graphics, Don Davis Race Cars, Mueller Customs and Designs. I'm trying to remember them all as I was looking down the signs. Ken Moses Race Transmissions, JKR Jeff Kondratic Racing, Comp Cams. That's the most I can remember right now. The Top 32. Ron Regal Race Engines is our one of our title race sponsors, along with Don Malicello Real Estate. We also have some little sponsors, which is Select Performance. Select Performance also does the .90 portion also. Select Performance up in New York. MTK Race Cars, SLS Race Cars, Racetrack Solutions, and Bruce, paint by Bruce Mullins. And then the junior dragsters are Prizer Racing, Richie Prizer, and Volpe Racing. And then we also have a $25 best losing package to put up by MB Motorsports and the Newman family. So
Cool.
that's most of them. So probably the .90 guys I forgot, I'll probably getting a phone call probably after the feed is over that I didn't mention them. So I do apologize, but you put me on the spot, Chris. So
That's all right. I gotta keep you thinking, you know. Well, very cool, Rob. I'm glad everything went off pretty much pretty good. Pretty much pretty good. So good. I'm glad to hear it. You know, watched everything as much as I could over the weekend. And
yeah, we
you
didn't
got
get much live. We didn't get much live feeds done. I was having a hard time with the connection. Plus, I had switched over to StreamYard this year for all my live feeds to try to combine all three classes. You know, instead of flip flopping. You know, you do a live on .90, and then you have to flip over to the top 32, site, and then flip over to the junior site where it was. So I started the StreamYard, which actually combines them all three. And I got, I think, third round in on Sunday, and then I couldn't connect the rest of the day. So, I had everybody, you kept us hanging. You showed us third round results, and then you never went live again. So I was like, I could not get connected. I tried everything I could. I went from both sides of the track trying to get connections, and I could not get a connection. So
that's all right. Learning experience. Well, like I said, I'm glad everything went well. Onward and upward. And like I said, for everybody, so they know the Tuesday following one of Rob's events, he'll be on if he's able to. Just to kind of do like a weekend wrap up, let everybody know how everything went, and looking forward to doing that for you.
Yep. So in July, you're going to see me a lot.
Yep.
Because I got like three out of 4 weeks or I'll have events, so you'll get tired of me.
All right. Well, Rob,
maybe we'll get Pete.
Yeah, we might be able to get Pete for one or two of those. Hopefully, maybe, possibly. So
well, he'll be at the Dave Stein.
He'll be at the Dave Stein. He said he will be there, even if he has to push his car down the track. He will be there.
Yes, he will be at the Dave Stein, so he can give his recap of the event also. So being the first time going to the Dave Stein, so he can give everybody a firsthand experience as a racer what the Dave Stein was all about.
Very cool. All right, Rob. Thank you for coming on and hanging out and shooting the bull for a little bit.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. We'll catch you later, buddy.
Thanks. Bye.
All right. So we're gonna hit some results real quick from the national event at Chicago. Let's see. Comp Eliminator, Ryan Pretty. Super Stock, John Irvin, or Irvin Johns, excuse me. Stock Eliminator, Chris Vang. Super Comp, Devin Eisenhower. Super Gas, Steve Hoyt. Super Street, Steve Dominguez. Top Dragster, Wayne Slegger. Factory Stock, Lenny Laudage. Pro Mod, Jose Gonzalez, and Mountain Motor, Richard Freeman. So congratulations, everybody there. Give me just 1 sec. Let me back up to get the divisional results. It's gonna be a little bit of back and forth, back and forth. Top Alcohol Dragster, your winner over Jackie Frick was Julie Natas. Congratulations. Top Alcohol Funny Car, Bob McCosh was your winner. Comp Eliminator, oops, excuse me, I double clicked on that. Comp Eliminator, again, this is at the divisional race in Texas. Brad Ford. Super Stock, Jeff Heffler over Brandon Bakeys. Stock Eliminator, Jeff Lopez over Kyle Rizzoli. Super Comp, Hannah Walter over Bill Dennis. Super Gas, Austin Williams over John Long. Super Street, Jay Bunce over Thomas Marlowe. Oh, actually, that's right. This is a double event this weekend. Top Sportsman, Jimmy Lewis over Kelly Land. Let me just expand this. So those winners were race 5. Mark Jones over JR Baxter in Top Dragster. All right, let me go down. So that's all they have listed. I apologize. Let me just make sure. All right, here we go. Race number 4 from Division 4. Comp Eliminator, Mike DePalma over Don Thomas. Good boy. That's a lot of scrolling to do here. Super Stock, Thomas Marlowe over Monty Bogan. Stock Eliminator, Brad Ford over Kyle Rizzoli. Why do I feel like I'm repeating myself? Super Comp, Vernon Rowland over Landon Martinez. Want to make sure I wasn't messing up. There are some double ups in there. Super Gas, again, this is in Texas at Division 4 for a double race. John Long over Roger Warren. Super Street, Regan Wilson over Brandon Harris. Top Sportsman, Jimmy Lewis over Bent Blumberg. And last but not least, Top Dragster, David Dale over Mark Ellis. And that is all your weekend wrap up of stuff from this past weekend in the wonderful world of NHRA. For those of you that are headed to Maple Grove, don't forget, Friday night, midnight, no more guesses for the guess the number of entries for the divisional at Maple Grove. Get them in before midnight Friday night. I think we have a record of how many people have guessed so far. It's in like the low 40s. But if you're headed to Maple Grove, best of luck. And we will also see you guys Friday, June 2nd. I will be at New England Dragway for the divisional, and I will be at Lebanon Valley the weekend after all 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for the divisional race. If you're traveling, stay safe, be good. And we are out of here. Have a great night, everybody.